What is up, everybody? How's it going today, guys? I'm back with another Harsh Reality reaction, guys. Harsh Reality is actually one of my favorite YouTubers. That's the reason why I like doing reactions to him. And all of his stuff is 100% facts, guys. He doesn't speculate, and if he does, he tells you about it. So that's the reason why I actually like doing reactions to his videos, guys. Today, he got the video that says, Idaho murders, the final stages of the investigations begins, and parents speak. So yes, hopefully we catch someone soon, guys, who's actually the killer. They still don't have no idea about any of it. All we know is the four was brutally murdered. So hopefully we get some actually evidence soon. Someone comes forward, says something. Someone actually gets locked up for life, guys, because that's what they deserve. But first, love yourself, like yourself, be nothing but yourself. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's highly appreciated. Without further ado, guys, let's jump right into the video.
Let's get straight into the meat and potatoes. So there is information coming out as we start to enter what is a critical time in this investigation. We are hearing parents speak. We are hearing the likes of Kaylee's parents come forward, and they have themselves spoken on some interesting topics, mainly regarding it would appear, the injuries that were sustained during the attack. And I think that this goes hand in hand with some information that was potentially leaked earlier on, and that was with regards to the extent of the injuries that were received by Maddie. Now look, that may not be factual information. That could have just been some lunatic trying to implicate themselves, well, not implicate themselves, insert themselves into a situation. And look, that's very, very possible.
And we actually did have that. We actually had someone come forward and actually say that one of them sustained, Maddie, I do believe, sustained more injuries than anyone else, which would have called it actually a hate crime, guys. So is that true? We will really actually never know what happened that night. We won't. We can speculate all we want, true crime panels all night long, talk about it, but we really don't know what's true and what's not. We just don't. So everything else to do with this murder, we do know that 4 people lost their lives, and the cops has no evidence whatsoever. Now, how is that? Same thing with Kylie Rodney case. None, but Kylie Rodney case is still open. Michael Vaughn, we're still looking for his remains, but we got people locked up for it. Quentin Simon, the mom, Leilani Simon, finally we found him, and she's put away for, well, hopefully life. It goes on. Delphi murders. We can keep going on with all this stuff, but we have no killer in the Moscow, Idaho killings. We don't. And we need that. We need to put this person behind bars before they kill again. And I do believe it is a serial killer that done this. I don't believe it's Jack. I don't believe nothing like that. I believe 100% is a serial killer, and that's speculations, guys. That's my opinion. But anyways, guys, let's jump right back to the video.
But what did they mean by what they said? Now, they basically said that the means were variable across the victims, you know, the attack. Now, that can mean numerous things. It could be that there was defensive wounds on all of them except one, which would lead you to believe that the one that had no defensive wounds was the very first person to be attacked. It could be, like we've said, the extent of injuries on one of these victims was massively different than the remaining victims. Now, I say, and I will stand by this statement, that I feel that this was not aimed at Xana or Ethan at this stage. I think that this was regarding Madison and Kaylee. I feel that the whole situation just reeks of raw, pure anger and emotion. Now, the parents have reached out and they've said, look, these 2 girls were in the same bed. And that's not trying to say that they were in any relationship or anything. I'm just pointing out that this is what was stated by parents, that these 2 girls were attacked while they were in their bed. And with the parents who are saying this, they're the ones who are saying that the injuries sustained were obviously massively different. What does that tell you? Does it tell you that one of them was asleep, was murdered, the other one woke up, was rused by what happened, and then was attacked. And they then went to town on that victim or the other victim. And then, like I've said previously, was it then just a case of the others had heard what was going on? Ethan has come out. He has met the attacker in the outer hallway, in the doorway of the bedroom. He has sustained injuries and succumbed to them injuries, and Xana was just the final the final witness. That's to me, and I'm not saying this is what happened, please don't shoot me, I'm just purely saying that seems in my brain to make the most sense here. I'm not at this stage running with the old.
And then the other two was actually in the first floor with the 2 doors locked, guys. So that's how they survived this whole thing. Now, whether the killer was actually going after them and actually, gonna actually take them out too, we don't know that. No one knows that. But both of the doors was locked to the first floor. That's how they survived it. So can you imagine being, the survivors of all this, the friends come out, see Ethan laying on the ground and whatever else. They call 911. The Ethan or whoever found Ethan says, "Hey, we have a person unconscious," runs down the stairs, runs outside, faints, and then the other person, survivor, grabs the phone and finishes the phone call. But that's the reason why they said that he was unconscious, because the other person never seen anything. So it's crazy. Then the 6th person in this house, they cleared them as well. Everybody at this food truck has been cleared, and I don't know how. We don't have a killer. Why? This is uncalled for. Is the cops really looking that much into this case? Are they keeping on, or are they bouncing back and forth? Where's the FBI at? Where's everybody else at? They're not around. We are going on 3.5 weeks of this case, and not one piece of evidence besides DNA that cannot find a match. That is facts. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back to the video.
Drug related or anything like that at this stage. I find this to be pure emotion, pure anger, pure rage. And now we get to some other interesting things. So it would appear, I'm going to just share this screen with you if I can get to where the cursor is. Where are we? Let's go. Let's jump up on here. Now, this is what they're basically saying is, look, we're at this critical stage where we're now looking at information that needs to be protected. And look, we're not privy to the information that needs to be protected. People always jump on content creators and they're like, "Oh, you're going to harm the case. You're going to harm the case." We're not going to harm the case because we don't have the information that has the ability to harm the case. We have the ability to speculate, but speculation cannot harm a case. People will naturally speculate. And if you don't get that, then I probably wouldn't be on this platform.
And there's a lot of YouTube channels out there, guys, that could reach out to more than some news networks. If you have 3 million people on YouTube, that's a lot of people you're reaching out to. Plain and simple. Even if you reach out to only 2 million of those, that's huge. That's bigger than some news stations, people that's tuned in, their audience. It is. So for all these people to go and say that YouTubers shouldn't, pass this on and, do videos about someone who's murdered and look into this, that's bull. No one's hurting a thing. And that's what Harsh Reality just said as well, and I totally agree with that. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back to the video.
Not me, you. So the investigation into the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students is entering a critical stage in its 3rd week as police are starting to receive forensic testing results. So all of the stuff that they'd sent away for analysis is now starting to come back. Now, this is obviously from the crime scene. Law enforcement experts have told CNN. This is a CNN report. Dozens of local, state, and federal investigators have yet to identify a suspect. Now, bear with me here because it goes on to speak of this later. Identify a suspect or find the murder weapon used in the attack last month in Moscow. The public, as well as the victims' family members, have criticised police for releasing little information in what at times has been a confusing narrative. We've spoken about it numerous times, this flip-flopping from one thing to another. But the complex nature of a high-level homicide investigation involves utmost discretion from police, experts say, because any premature hint to the public about a suspect or the various leads police are following can cause it to fall apart. So do they have a suspect? Bear with me.
I don't believe they do. I don't believe they do. Because if they had a suspect, it had already been done. Why are you going to leave the suspect out in this world, knowing that he killed 4 people? He's going to do it again. This just wasn't a one-time thing. This person is actually a serial killer. You don't get away with killing 4 people with a knife and then turning around and getting away with no evidence. You just don't. Why isn't the DNA taking a match? There's a lot of stuff we can talk about, guys. Anyways, let's jump right back to the video.
What police have been reluctant to do in this case is to say they have a suspect, even though they have had suspects who have risen and fallen in various levels of importance, because that's the nature of the beast, said John Miller, CNN Chief Law Enforcement Analysis and former Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence and Counterterrorism for the New York Police Department. Police having no suspects is factually incorrect, Miller said. Police have had a number of suspects they've looked at, but they have no suspect that they're willing to name. You don't name them unless you have a purpose for that. That's not unusual. And there we have a picture of the victims, and that goes on to speaking about how the agencies are working together and how they've basically got one shot, a bit like Eminem, one shot, one opportunity to get it all right and bring the killer to justice. So what is it? Is it indeed that we got this all wrong? Law enforcement were doing their job, they were doing due diligence, and they just seemed to be, perhaps they were doing some things purposefully. Perhaps they came out of the gates and felt the need to, that balance between making the public know, look, we know what's happened here, you are all safe, and then thinking, fuck, if we let people know that this is the case, then we're going to tip someone off and they're going to make a move. I've always thought about it differently. I think that sometimes you need to make them know that you're onto them, because that's when they're under pressure that they're most likely to slip up. Not so much when they think that the foot's off the gas. I don't know. It's an argumentative thing, I suppose. You can look at it one way or another. But it would appear that the likelihood is law enforcement do indeed have a suspect. They have got someone in there, in their sights, and they're just waiting to spring that trap. And, maybe that does make sense. Maybe when you picture some of the things that have happened, some of the things that have been said, like I say, I go back to that initial statement that this was a targeted attack. They've tried to wheedle their way out of why they said that, and that's kind of made them look even worse, because then it just kind of falls apart and doesn't make sense. I think they know what happened there. I think they know who the victim was. And again, remember, they know a lot more than what we do. They know what the injuries were. They likely know the order with which these victims fell victim to the attacker. And that's going to, the injuries and the order and things like that are going to play such a huge, huge part in this. But I think, and fingers crossed, that we are likely to be coming to a conclusion in this case. And I don't think a lot of people are going to be shocked at this stage. I'm not going to say much more, but I don't think there's going to be too much of a shock for many, many people. But time will tell. For now, enjoy.
All right, guys, there you guys have it. Look, do we really have a killer? Do we really have a suspect? We don't have the knife. We don't have a footprint, even though they said we had a footprint to go off of. We don't have that. All we know is the killer walked through the back door on the second floor, walked through and killed the people, the girls, and the one guy. That's all we know in this case. And the 2 survivors survived because the doors being locked on the first floor. That's all we know, guys. So it brings me to mind the backwoods behind their house. Could they have been stalked from back there, guys? And I believe 100% they could have. Who goes to say this person hasn't watched these girls and this guy for quite some time? and planned out their killing. It was they got away, guys. There's no knife, there's no nothing. They got away for now. Anyways, guys, I hope this is all brought to justice and the killers actually spends life in prison, guys. I've said that before and I mean that, guys. But first, love yourself, like yourself, be nothing but yourself. Like and subscribe, channel, it's highly appreciated. Without further ado, guys, your boy Deuce is out. Thank you guys. Have a good one.